On today's University Report, Spring Jam is finally here, a rundown of the concerts and activities later in the show, and a university student has a unique opportunity to hold a census for penguins. But first, the long-awaited conclusion to a hit-and-run murder by a university student. Good morning, and welcome to today's University Report. I'm Kayla Tome.
And I'm Justin Rice. A former U of M student's family finally has some closure. Timothy Backdash has been sentenced to 40 years in prison for the death of U of M student Benjamin Van Handel. Last April, a drunken high Backdash ran down 3 pedestrians in his car on 5th Street after arguing with someone at the library bar. Van Handel died from his injuries a few days after the accident, while 2 others suffered minor injuries. Backdash claims he does not remember hitting the group, but has apologized to Van Handel's family for his actions.
Last month, University of Minnesota students voted on whether to unionize under the United Auto Workers platform. The unionization was voted down by 62% of employees who cast ballots. Now, United Auto Workers is accusing the university of unfair election practices. The attorney representing Graduate Student Workers United and United Auto Workers, Richard Kaspari, filed the charge with the Minnesota Bureau of Mediation last week. The election results may be void if mediation services rules in favor of United Auto Workers. The Bureau has issued an order to freeze employee wages, hours, and employment conditions while the allegations are under investigation. Submissions are being collected from the union and graduate students on evidence of restrictions to unionized speech, which Kaspari says is an anti-union violation. And today we have Charity Best with us. What is next for the outcome?
The graduate students and United Auto Workers attorney, Richard Kaspari, told us the Minnesota Bureau of Investigation makes the determination of how to proceed. The election results are on hold due to the investigation, and Kaspari says the Bureau will release a plan in the next month, telling us how they plan to move forward.
Thanks, Charity.
Hundreds of mourners are doing their best this week to make a happy ending out of a tragic story. 1,800 people attended the funeral of Gary Tinsley in Jacksonville, Florida this past Saturday, including the entire Gopher football team. The former Gopher linebacker was just 22 years old when he passed away unexpectedly 2 weeks ago. Teammates, coaches, friends, and family all spoke about Tinsley's catching smile. As of now, no cause of death has been determined, but foul play has not been suspected.
The emperor penguin is the largest species of penguin.
And today, John Tipton is going to tell you about a group of researchers who found an equally large size in numbers.
The emperor penguin. Only native to Antarctica, these cute and cuddly gwins have never had an exact head count until now.
We know that there is now 595,000 penguins in Antarctica.
That's double the amount Michelle and her fellow scientists from the University of Minnesota's Polar Geospatial Center thought.
We found an additional 7 colonies that we didn't even know existed, and one of which had around 12,000 birds, which is a pretty good-sized colony.
Every year, the sea ice in Antarctica grows and shrinks, making it nearly impossible to get to the areas where these penguins live. The task of counting nearly 600,000 penguins sounds painstaking, but satellite imagery makes this exploration easy.
We zoom into every single location, and when you zoom in, you can start to see, you'll see the brown guano stain, and you'll see the surrounding sea ice, and you'll see all these little black dots. And so what we have to do is train the computer to tell the difference between the black dots and the brown stain, which is their guano, and the surrounding ice. And then the computer does some statistics and things like that and brings back some results.
The results are far greater than these researchers could have imagined. But the research doesn't stop here.
So now we'll be able to track their populations through time to see if sea ice loss is affecting their populations and to potentially look at any other factors that may be driving their populations going up or down.
Currently, Ross Sea is home to 25% of the emperor penguin population, and according to Michelle, sea ice is growing in that area. John Tipton, University Report.
Michelle and the rest of her team will explore Antarctica again this fall and continue to monitor the emperor penguin's migration and population patterns.
With tuition and student debt on the rise, there are new concerns about how much university executives are being paid. The University of Minnesota's Board of Regents has created a special committee to discuss administrative pay packages. The committee was formed in response to news that former President Bob Brunick paid a total of $2.8 million to administrators that were leaving their positions. Some were supposed to receive reduced pay, and others were placed on paid leave when they didn't intend to return. Despite Brunick's actions, the committee chair, Richard Beeson, doesn't expect to see the situation again.
we're not going to be looking back and doing archaeological dig on what has happened. We're focused instead on sort of setting the stage. I'm optimistic that we can do this.
The committee will meet later this month to create a new policy for administrative packages for this fall.
Medical schools are revamping the MCAT admission test to attract future doctors. New sections about psychological and social aspects of medicine will be added to the test, and the writing section of the MCAT will be eliminated. Schools say the goal is to find doctors with broad backgrounds to keep up with our increasingly complex society. These changes will be implemented in 2015.
If you are looking for new spring items, look no further than the University of Minnesota.
If it's broken, fix it. If it's recyclable, reuse it. It was a beautiful U Day and many hopeful buyers gathered at Northrop Plaza to purchase recycled goods. Products like bikes and televisions were just a few of the items that were resold at the Palooza. Several shoppers searched for the right product for the right price. Some were lucky enough to find what they were looking for.
I needed a new bike because a couple weeks ago mine was unfortunately stolen.
Liz found a Schwinn bike for little of nothing.
It just seemed like there'd be a lot of choices here today instead of trying to find one off of Craigslist or something like that.
Despite the bent tire in the rear, she knew it would be easier and cheaper to find a bike at the Palooza. Over 100 bikes were available for sale at this year's beautiful U Day. The event was sponsored by the university's reuse program that collects everything from furniture to books. Tim Bussey is thankful for the university's contribution to the program.
The best part about our reuse program is that it constantly turns over. We have new items in there every week, and we're going to have a ton of new items over the next week from now, just because of our campus-wide building cleanout. We're cleaning out buildings across campuses, offices everywhere, and a lot of folks are going to be contributing a lot of different things to the reuse program.
Regardless of the long lines, shoppers stayed around.
If we can get 50 degrees and sunny on beautiful U Day, we'll take it every time.
Charity Bess, University Report.
I actually just bought a used bike online last weekend.
Oh my goodness, I'm in the market. I might have to check that thing
Really?
out.
Yeah, I like it.
Spring Jam is here at last, and that means the music is too. With heads bobbing and bodies swaying, university students are kicking off Spring Jam with some heart-pounding beats. The Head and the Heart played outside Coffman Memorial Union yesterday afternoon on the front plaza. The indie folk pop band is only the beginning of a jam-packed weekend. Today, Jesse James takes the stage at noon. The Cataracts Prof and New Boys headline the weekend on Saturday night. Check out the Spring Jam homepage for more information on events.
Coming up next, a key Gopher basketball player is back for one more year. Find out who after the break.
It all could disappear. Crops, food supplies, economies, if wheat rust disease isn't stopped. At the University of Minnesota, we are leading an international research effort to find the answer. Because saving wheat prevents global famine. Because countless lives are counting on us.
Welcome back. Football and basketball seasons may be over for this year, but that doesn't mean they aren't gearing up for next year.
John Tipton is at the TCF Bank Stadium to tell us more.
Thanks, guys. Although football season doesn't begin in the fall, you can still see the Gophers play here at TCF Bank Stadium at 11 tomorrow morning. Fans get the opportunity to not only watch the game, but also get autographs with players and coaches afterward. In other sporting news, Trevor Mbakwe will be returning at the barn for another year of eligibility. The forward suffered an ACL tear in his right knee last season, but announced Monday that he'd be back for another year because he felt he had some unfinished business to take care of. Mbakwe was the leading rebounder for Team USA at the World University Games last summer and could help an almost all returning Gopher team to the big dance next year. That's it for over here at Gopher Nation. Back to you guys.
Thanks, John. This weekend, several sports teams are in action. Gopher baseball heads to East Lansing to face Michigan State Spartans in a 3-game series.
And the softball team has a 3-game series at home against Michigan with a doubleheader on Saturday. As always, tune into the U Report next week to see how they did. After the break, some unusual critters spent a day at the U this week. Find out why next.
Energy. How do we generate more and waste less? At the University of Minnesota, we are powering a revolution, developing a more secure, smart grid that can recharge the economy while respecting the environment. Because supplying energy can be less costly. Because our power grid can power the future.
Before we go, it's spring and herds of high schoolers visiting colleges are common.
This week, the University of Minnesota had visitors of a different breed.
Reed Strait has the beat.
The U is always busy with foot traffic. But students weren't the only ones hoofing it on Church Street Wednesday.
This is Tootsie, and she is a llama.
Tootsie spent her day socializing with students and teaching them about the llama industry in Minnesota. She was there with about a dozen other farm animals to help raise awareness for Minnesota agriculture. They were part of the U of M's 3rd annual Agriculture Awareness Day. Visitors had the chance to pet a calf, meet sheep, and chat with Princess Kay of the Milky Way. They also learned about crops and won prizes.
It's basically to provide students with an opportunity to experience something never experienced.
Agriculture Education Club member Teresa Tui says they also put the day together to teach students how important the industry is.
Everyone is involved in agriculture every day of their life just by eating and putting on clothes.
And that's where Tootsie comes in. Even though it looks like she's just hanging out with students, she's hard at work growing the wool that might end up as their next shirt. Reed Strait, University Report.
This time of year definitely reminds me of growing up on a farm, so.
I grew up in a small town too, and those animals are just so darn cute, aren't they?
Oh, we can't get enough.
Well, that's all we have time for today.
Tune in again next week for our last U report of the semester.
Until then, I'm Justin Rice.
And I'm Kayla Tome. Have a great Spring Jam weekend.